have the pleasure of working with CalPro and the American Institutes for Research and working with administrators. I know many of you. I'm seeing wonderful faces on screen for those of you who've decided to come on screen. And those of you who aren't, I'm seeing your names, and it is great to see you here with us this afternoon. Today, we are looking at how we can reframe challenges into opportunities as the second webinar of our CalPro Administrators Forum webinar series this year. We know this year is a different year, and we've all been touched in different ways through living in a pandemic, and that has impacted our lives in a variety of ways, at home, of course, and professionally as well, too. And so we want to recognize and honor that by having this webinar really help you think about how we are reframing some things that people are referring to as challenges. It is a challenging time, but every challenge we know is really an opportunity. And so that's what this webinar is going to be about. And Vicki, I'm ready for advancing.
Okay, and let's see here. There we go.
Perfect. So this is the second of 4. We do these every quarter, and the goal of these is to make sure that we are providing webinars that are of the field, so they will always be presented by those who are leaders in the field for the field, and that they are relevant and timely. And as we all know, dealing with COVID and the pandemic, ways in which we can look at these challenges and reframe them into opportunities is very timely and extremely relevant. All right. And the background of our webinars, we've been doing these for about 15 years now. Time has flown by. Maybe a dozen years, maybe it's a dozen years. But time has still flown by, and when we started doing these, we wanted to really have a place where we could quickly bring administrators together to engage and have conversations with each other around topics of critical importance so that it could help you with better sustaining, developing, managing your program. And so this hour that we will have together, you will hear information and some practices that have been occurring in other programs, but there will also be a lot of opportunities for you to chat and engage, because we know that the expertise is always in the room. And so we are looking forward to continuing that purpose of our webinars. And then finally, again, on the webinar itself, and Vicki and I are doing this together, but this one, the people that you're going to hear from today, Dr. Karen Batista and Toibi Rublaitis, are leaders in the field, and they bring 2 different amazing perspectives to help us consider reframing challenges into opportunities. And on the next slide, Vicki, I'm going to just share some background information about the 2 of them and allow them to jump right in and get started. And so some of you, many of you already know these 2 amazing leaders in our field, but here's just a little bit more. Dr. Karen Batista has spent 28 years teaching and administrating adult education programs affiliated with K-12 districts. She was the principal of the Inland Career and Education Center and Irvine Adult School before coming to North Orange Continuing Education, North Orange County Continuing Education. And there she is the Vice President of Instruction. Her education includes a doctorate in educational technology and leadership, a master's degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages, and many other credentials and certificates to enhance her expertise in this area. She serves on the CalPro Professional Advisory, the PABI Professional Advisory Board, And she has also worked with helping us do teaching and training and effective teaching for adults. Her passion is creating programs for students who have challenges by providing innovative services and supports. Hence, again, reframing challenges into opportunities. And Toibi Rublitis is the principal at Corona Norco Adult School. And she is the lead member of the Riverside About Students Consortium for Adult Education as well. Toibi is new to administration as a principal, and this has been an interesting time to be in that position. In her first year, finishing her first year last year as a principal, she led the school through pivoting to distance learning, as we've all experienced. That was an interesting pivot, is an interesting pivot, and will continue to be an interesting way of doing business, no longer a pivot, but a way of doing business. And in the midst of that pandemic, she has led her school through a federal program monitoring review and visit, and through a WASC accreditation process, both of those with flying colors. She credits her success to standing on the shoulders of those before her, specifically her previous director, and also to the amazing district support that she has, that has given her the ability to put in place some strategic processes that help her to continue to strive and excel in serving our students in these unprecedented times. I am so excited, as you can tell, and so delighted to have these two amazing leaders from different perspectives, different lengths of experience, one working in K-12, one in a community college, who can really help us think about what it means to reframe challenges into opportunities. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Toibi Rublitis, who will get us started. Toibi.
Thank you, Cherise. Good morning, everybody. Oh, and actually it's afternoon. Thank you for being here. And thank you, CalPro, for this wonderful opportunity for me to share a few things that we do at adult education at Corona Norco, and also the opportunity to learn and grow by being here and through this wonderful forum where we can all learn from each other and also just share some of the things we have done at Corona Norco Adult School. So as you see, Cherise already said that I am a new administrator. I had this all queued, and presenting like this is for the first time, and so it came to the wrong page when we came in. But here we go. So our overview today. So Karen and I have looked at some of the things that we do at our individual institutes. And so we came across these five topic areas that we would be sharing. And I would talk first a little bit about wellness and student and staff needs, mostly dealing with human aspect of what we do as leaders. And then the C, G, and E, the three last topics, Karen will discuss more of that, and those would deal with operational point of view. As Cherise said, this is a forum, and I'm fortunate that this is an interactive way of doing things. And just to get us all started a little bit, we will start with a little discussion at the beginning, a discussion after a few topics, and just get ideas from each other and use our ways of doing things to brainstorm and to inspire some of the newer ideas or thoughts that we all could share together. As the slide also says, the presentation will be followed by a Q&A at the end. So first of all, let's start with a little bit of engagement. Would you all please indulge this experience by writing what are some of your greatest successes so far in the chat. I thought I had the chat page ready, but somehow I cannot see anything yet, so I'm looking for it. Please bear with me. We practiced this before.
Toyby, it's okay if you just go back to the presentation view.
Presentation queue.
Yep, so just go up to slideshow and from current slide, and then up the top of your screen, hover at the top and click on other, and then you'll see the chat up there.
And I have to click chat.
Yes, to open the chat. So it's going to be up at the top of your screen.
Yes, I have done that, but somehow I don't see it.
Okay.
We have practiced this before, but
Yeah,
And
no worries.
We can. No, it's fine, Toyby. If you want, I can even go over what's in the chat and share it out if you'd like me to.
yes, please, Karen, that will be a good way to go about it. Thank you. See,
You know, it all takes teamwork during these times. So I'm actually reading some very awesome successes here. I'm seeing that a lot of institutions have expanded their access to students because of distance learning, higher attendance rates. Also, looking like there wasn't much of a break between the stay-at-home order and getting classes up and running online. Albert writes that there were no findings for his FPM. Good for you, Albert. That he passed the WASC COE review. School is open online. Fantastic. Jeff opened a second adult ed center to address consortium needs. Love it. WASC accreditation moving forward. I think this is just fantastic, and I shouldn't be surprised. This is what the adult education administrators always do, right? They rise to the challenge. Graduating high school students, Maria writes, and even achieving CASAS gains in spite of the pandemic. Oh, I need to reach out to you, Janice. I think this is fantastic. We've got a blended learning model going on. A lot of students graduating, especially in the health field, recording classes, allowing for makeups, great idea. The CARES Act funding, which if we can take advantage of it, we certainly want to, love it. So I'm just floored by so much success, and you know, I applaud all of you. What a great job. Toyby?
And Toyby, you are muted now. You are muted still. You are still muted, Toyby.
I unmuted her.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. And thank you, Karen, for reading those challenges for me, the successes for me. Now, friends, let's talk about a little bit of the challenges that we're facing. Again, in the chat, if you would like to put them in. Okay, now I can see the challenges. Post-testing is a big challenge for most people. Technology is another one for students. Low enrollment is another one. No testing happening. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing some of your challenges. And as we see that we're all facing some of similar challenges. However, as I start today's little presentation from my perspective, we all know that human aspect dealing with our students, our teachers, and our staff is one of the biggest challenges, because when we start there and when we go well with connecting with people and with our students, the rest of them will fall in place. So the first challenge that I wanted to share that happened at Corona Norco Adult Ed from the very beginning, and which we have been able to gently redirect and reframe and convert into opportunities, has been motivating the teachers. So we as leaders also face this whole thing about what do we do now? There are so many uncertainties. And looking at uncertainties in a different perspective, looking at it in a way that can, from a distance, and seeing what can we do during these times that even if we cannot do the way we would have done before, can. So looking at that perspective, some of the things we did with our teachers is by building connections with them. The way we did build connections was from the very beginning, at the beginning of the school year itself, we started getting in touch with the teachers, sharing with them some of the things that we would have done in person, virtually. I just showed a set of bags that we put together for our teachers, put a little welcome note for them, and whatever little funds that we had dedicated for sharing with the teachers during the professional development is what we send out to each teacher in the mail. Then we held coffee and connections every Thursdays, where we were sharing the difficulties that we were going through and how we can overcome them, how we can connect with our students. Just to share an example, in the very last right before Thanksgiving, we had a Thankful Together get together where we were actually not really talking about work, but talking about things in general that we're going through and how we are overcoming that as a family. And those things helped teachers get to reset their minds to say, okay, we're all going through this together, and we can somehow get over it. Another thing that we had done because of the WASC and the FPM monitoring and the visits as well, even though it was a virtual visit, during our conversations in the Coffee and Connections, teachers have shared how they were struggling to have a space at home to work. So we allowed teachers to come in on campus and set up stations for them to work, knowing that with better technology setup, they're going to be comfortable at work and be able to do their virtual presentations or virtual teaching in a better way. Here is another thing that we have all been facing, which is the discussion of race and equity in the country that's been happening right when we started school in August. And this is a conversation we have to have all the time nowadays. And so this example is what Karen shared from her college, where the faculty had honest conversations by looking and reading a book together, choosing a book that everybody would like to read together and sharing. In terms of equity in Riverside region, Corona Norco is going to be hosting the CalPro Equity Workshop starting in January. And then from January to February, the first thing that all teachers and staff will be working with is understanding this whole new environment of being, knowing that we have to serve our community in such a way that all of them are equally focused on. The other thing that we have all been facing is this whole mental challenge of how do we overcome all these problems that we are facing. And so as we discuss wellness, we all know that it's a matter of having a healthy mind. To have a healthy mind, some experts, researchers have already discussed and researched that understanding where it comes from, the awareness that this whole pandemic is not only about one group or one person, the whole world is facing it. So how can we use this circumstance and the way we do things in this circumstance by connecting and sharing with each other that this is not only one of us, but all of us, all in this together. And bringing the insight from all our staff members, involving staff members in facing this challenge and having a purpose. And as adult ed educators, we all know that we are here for our students. And this is a time when our students, our type of students, are the ones who are suffering the most. So if we can all bring that together, our minds will, we understand this is not in isolation. We have to work together. And so at Corona Norco, another thing that came about from these discussions we've had is that one of the teachers put a Padlet together that had all the resources that we can share with our students. And the resources include things like, where is food distribution happening this week? Where do we go if we have problems with our students, our kids? How can we connect to the parent center who will help our kids to. Then there's also the mindful challenge that, excuse me, friends, I'm a little challenged with technology today, and I'm not sure, are you still seeing my presentation slide?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just going to share, because I've taken up too much of my time. And so what I'm going to do is just let you know that the links in these presentations, the resources, if you click that, you will get to see all the resources that Corona Norco has shared on our Padlet. And then in terms of wellness, there are all types of webinars nowadays that we could all attend. Counseling are all offered online by Zoom at both Karen's Institute as well as ours. And I'm sure most of you are doing at your own schools as well. And then we also have something that our district has provided for the entire district. And I'm sure all other districts are also taking care of this nowadays. The Calming Room. It's a website where students, both kids and adults, can go, as well as employees like us, to learn to get different resources on how to conduct ourselves during this time and face the challenges that we are with the whole better mental state of mind. Another challenge that we have all noticed and we have all talked about is the student support services. Right now, as we know, we are our students need more digital support, and either in terms of getting devices or support services in terms of just digital literacy. So some of these challenges, the way we have converted into opportunities by providing devices, and during those device distribution days, the staff members who actually would have been doing something else, but they don't have as much to do right now because students are not on campus. We are now using those classified staff to support students in terms of just getting onboarding onto their Google Classrooms, or helping with supporting with distribution of those devices. Another one is communication. So at this time right now, all our staff members are feeling loss and sense of not knowing where to go because they're working from home. Challenges that we all face at home, just setting up a little corner to have our office. And what works well at this time is for us all to be kind to each other. And kindness comes by being very clear with our communication. If we don't know what's going on, it's better to say very clearly, we don't know yet, we are going to work on it. And implementing a variety of ways to communicate with our staff are some suggestions we have. Karen said that at her institute, what they have used is SharePoint and video messages. We even send out mails by US mail. Our teachers at Corona Norco for the some of the classes, when students said they did not have a device or they did not have a way to work with technology, some teachers are even willing to put things in a packet and send it to them by mail. Here in this, when you get this presentation, you will be able to open this link. These are hyperlinks that will take you to the newsletter that I have started doing at our school. It's by using a little app called S'mores. And I do a newsletter every month now, but in the very beginning, we started with a newsletter every other week, just so that all staff members have the same information at the same place. And the good thing about using that app is that you can embed videos as well as little audios and files of any type. And so every staff member in the entire school gets the same information in one place. The other thing is our school put together a tech team. It's basically made up of tech-savvy teachers. And those teachers were offering some help to the ones who are not very tech-savvy. And all the things that they all in a centralized hub. Again, if you click the link, there's a hyperlink that will open up to all the resources in one place. Little trainings used by using iRod, which is a way to create animated videos for helping teachers to navigate certain technology challenges. CASAS post-testing and pre-testing is another big challenge all of us have been facing. Some schools are allowing students to come on campus, some are not. And we at Corona Norco, what we have done is taken advantage of the remote testings that CASAS has provided, as well as remote testing for EL Civics. And so far we have tested about 1,200 students pre and post-test. By putting together a post-testing plan, which is a combination of remote and on campus. So on campus, we have been bringing students, 15 to 20 students at a time, spreading them out in different classrooms and taking care of all those COVID protocol. So here, if you ever click this link, it will show you the plan that we have and how we operated on that. So moving on, in terms of testing, this is how I just shared that we had post-testing on campus. And so this is how some of the post-testing happens, along with, you know, all these little dividers between stations. One thing that we learned from Moreno Valley Adult School, Pat Bezanos is here, Dr. Bezanos is here. And what we learned was to cover those keyboards with a cellophane wrap. And as this particular student finishes the test, they peel off that wrap and throw it out. And then for the next person, we have it ready. So those are some things that I wanted to share with everybody as well. The other thing that we all know is that things have to seem a little bit normal, even if it is not normal. So a lot of schools and colleges have done is by having those regular conferences online, just like we're doing this virtually. We've all been to the summit, CAPE Summit virtually. So staff and jobs alike groups have been getting together to have options to have virtual conferences. And North Orange Continuing Education had their administrative staff work together to have sessions such as this. This was one when they had Embrace Your Inner Minute Taking. So they were doing minute taking, which they were learning from each other. So on that note, I will have us all get back together to also chat about what have you implemented to address student and staff needs, including wellness on your campuses. I hope that some of the things that I have shared would have inspired some of solutions to some of the problems that you have had, and you also have more to share based on what you have just heard. Please feel free to write in the chat. And then with that, I will pass it on to Karen to take over.
Great, thank you, Toybi. I'm not seeing much writing in the chat, which I don't know if that's a technology issue or if, oh, there we go. Now I'm seeing it. There's a little bit of a lag. I love that. My son said, I don't know why they call it Zoom. They should call it lag. And now I know what he's talking about. So let me see, staff meetings on Zoom with games, love it. Christmas party on Zoom with a spelling bee and a gift exchange, great. In Hesperia, oh, hi Kim, you've opened up your testing centers. I think that's great. And we've got check-ins with students, wonderful. I also, we've got some staff working out of the office, some working from home. Students are referred to services, wonderful. So great, I think this is great. And we know that's how it starts. We certainly need to take care of people's wellness needs and try and be as mindful as we can about how people are dealing with this pandemic. So now we're going to transition over to the operational themes that we are all encountering. And the first one is on facilities. So many of you are involved in discussions as to what operations will look like in the summer and in the fall. And I imagine that there will be some type of a reopening that is a soft reopening in stages that involves our staff returning first. So with a focus on protecting staff, we have installed sneeze guards on all of our desks where staff work with the public. And we also have signage in the building, signage on the floor like this picture that will direct 2 lanes of movement in the hallways, 1 in each direction. Also elevators with signage that limit the maximum number of individuals, and stickers on the floor that designate where individuals should stand. Some districts have published their reopening plans on the internet. There is a hyperlink here within our slide that you can click on, and that will take you to other reopening plans from other districts. There's also one, our district has one as well. If your district has not published one yet, then you can certainly go on the internet and Google that or access these here. I encourage you to have a group you can brainstorm with because this really generates more questions. And now is the time for us to be able to develop answers and not when we're 1 week away from our sites reopening. Another unique challenge that we face is that many of our classes are at community sites. And it's important to navigate what the standards are for these community sites before the sites open. For example, will a particular facility adhere to your district standards? Or does the facility have their own standards? Something that can be developed in advance is an MOU. And the MOU can address the safety safeguards to be implemented and can specify which responsibilities belong to each partner. For example, classroom spaces need to be sanitized between sessions. Who is responsible for this? If the site is responsible, are the cleaning staff available during the day? If not, that may limit the room use at that facility. How often can the restrooms be sanitized? What is the site capacity? Is temperature checking required? What about the health screening form? And so these are all questions which may have answers that are determined by policies or decisions other than your school district or in combination with your school district. And that is important information to seek in advance. On the next slide, we think about our own districts and our own facilities. Our districts are drafting these guidelines, and many of these guidelines have been influenced by MOUs with bargaining units like CSEA or our teachers' unions. And the manuals that our districts release for reopening designate procedures to follow several situations, such as how to report COVID positive reports for staff and students, whether or not temperatures must be taken, the health questionnaires, and social distancing guidelines for classrooms and work areas. And I love this picture because this is a picture from Corona Norco School District. And this is what their temperature kiosk looks like. And I'm actually trying to see if this is something that we can get for our institution now that we have recently imposed the temperature taking. I'd like to transition to the area of finance. All our institutions have heard about impending budget cuts. Where can you trim operating expenses? What about the reduction in overhead costs? Can you use the savings to reflect a balanced budget? This might also be a good time to consolidate copy machines or scanners, renegotiate copier contracts, maintenance contracts, surplus older machines, and eliminate maintenance agreements on older machines. If possible, involve your support staff. Ask for ideas on what to cut to save positions and avoid furloughs. Be aware of lost revenue, like vending machines, parking fees, community service classes, and include these losses in your budget spreadsheets. Also consider any additional funding or flexibility in funding for distance education or for COVID expenditures? What can be purchased using these justifications that can relieve your operations budget? During this unique time, as we were discussing, employees are looking for connections. This could really be the opportunity that you've been looking for across programs to bring staff together. Everyone wants to help students. So let's start with success stories of how students are succeeding during the pandemic. What influenced that success? Are there successful activities that can be expanded to other departments, other schools? How can ideas be shared when employees are off campus? At NOCE, having virtual meetings has enabled increased participation in our school-wide meetings. This is a great opportunity to have discussions about curriculum, assessment, teaching materials, equipment. We can transition our meetings from decision-making meetings to more theoretical discussions to keep all attendees engaged. So now I would like to ask you, what creative ideas have you implemented in the areas of facility safety and finance? Please write them in the chat. This is a great opportunity for us to hear from each other. And often what one campus has done, when you hear about it, you start to think, oh, that's something I hadn't considered, or it gives you ideas in another area. Okay. Great. We have Hesperia Adult School posting the CDC guideline posters on every classroom door, restroom, office. Love it. I go to my campus once a week and I walk down the hallway and I see how plastic bags have been put over all of our drinking fountains so that no one by mistake goes to use the drinking fountain. Yes, Ibrahim talks about those student flow decals. Great. Partnerships. This is a great time to look to your partners. What, I guess, equipment or what opportunities do the local colleges have that you can tap into? Many of the colleges now have funding for food pantries. Through your consortia, is it possible if your students access the food pantries? Great ideas. I'm going to move forward with our last section on virtual compliance reviews, because this is certainly something that we all think about. Is it possible for our visits to be delayed? Can they be rescheduled? And I think the answer has come back probably not. Maybe they were for a few months, but now they've been rescheduled and moved forward. This is a great opportunity to reframe the problem. And maybe you can standardize things that you're doing, like distance learning. And this is information that can go into your plans. Corona Norco Adult School recently took advantage of not only their WASC visit, but also a federal program monitoring review. And they knew that they needed to show how they were being flexible and providing learning in a variety of ways to their students, that they took the team in their virtual visit and were able to show them the variety of distance education learning modules. They also took this as an opportunity to digitize their documentation for the review. It was really a great way to show off their virtual classrooms, and they also were able to count it as an action item in the review. And then the following week, after the WASC review, they had their federal program monitoring review, and some of the evidence and the input that they got from their first review, they were able to make changes and then show the new information for their subsequent review. And so the silver lining right now for compliance reviews is that all the visitors know the constraints that you're under, and they are much more lenient. They set the bar at minimum compliance that is required. So get it done, get it off your plate, move forward. We don't know how long the pandemic is going to last. We don't know what the conditions will be like in the next few months. And so whatever you can do to move forward at this time, take advantage of it. If your reviews are not scheduled this year, this is a good time to get to work on it. Think about it. There are fewer individuals on campus, no ringing phones, no students in the front office, no waiting at the copier. This might be the best time to chip away at that list of evidence that needs to be collected. Even one day each month gets you closer to the finish line. At NOCE, our WASC accreditation co-chairs built a Canvas course with training materials for each of the WASC criterion. We took advantage of the fact that our faculty were being trained on Canvas, and we also created the course in Canvas to reinforce the use of Canvas. And teams have a place to post discussions, they can submit evidence, and you also might want to think, who are the employees right now who are not being fully utilized? What about the person who makes the daily bank deposits? You're not collecting cash right now. What is that person doing? And can this person help with a project? What about getting ready for an audit, getting ready for a review? Another thing that needs to be done is procedures. There are always procedures that we have for distribution or review. That could be a project for this person. And above all, don't forget to write the story of your operations during the pandemic, because certainly that will become a question when your WASC visiting team comes to visit. And so this takes us to our last chat item. What have you learned from this webinar that helps you reframe the challenges you are facing as a leader? And it doesn't even have to be something that you learned right now from something that I said or Toybe said or something that was posted in the chat. It can be something that made you think in a different way and help you reframe your thinking to look at one of your largest challenges right now as an opportunity to move forward and enjoy success. Yes, I can see in the comments, especially the WASC tips. Definitely something we're all thinking about. We certainly do not want to get behind at all. And we're talking about how important it is to bring our teams together, our support staff, our faculty. Everyone loves to come together to address a problem. So let's make it a problem, right? Make it a problem. Oh, we've got this WASC work and we're a little behind, and what are we going to do about it? Bring people together. get their ideas, get them to work on something together. So we certainly want to leave you with something positive. And we have a couple images here. And the images basically represent that time is moving forward. It's not, we're not going to be able to pick up where we left off. And we need to reframe our thoughts. And we need to look for opportunities and focus on sharing the successes. And so I just want to thank you for allowing Toynbee and I this opportunity to share some ideas with you. And I really want to thank you for all of the great comments in the chat. I know that I'm going to be looking back and reading that and seeing what I can do to reframe my thinking based on a lot of the comments that you've provided us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen and Toynbee, for sharing how we can think about those challenges and reframe them into opportunities. And I agree with you, the chat was amazing. And for those of you who don't know, and this is one of the things that we don't share in the opening tips, but it's a good one, you can download and save everything that's in that chat. So all the resources, all the ideas that are there, all that you have to do to save and download that is in the chat, where you click on the 3 lines, the 3 dots. The first thing that pops up should be Save Chat. And so you can save all of the comments that were there, so that when you go back and look at what you've learned from this, I know we didn't have a lot of time for you to respond to that last question about how you are going to be able to reframe some of your challenges into opportunities based on the ideas shared during this webinar. But you can go back and do that by re-looking at that chat. I take it and I print them out, and then I go through and highlight things that I want to look at more closely. And so there's a tip, a challenge, an opportunity from a challenge that sometimes you aren't able to capture everything that's shared. Most of you probably already knew that, but just in case. So again, thank you very, very much. And if there are any final questions, I think our last slide is that opportunity for you to ask any final questions that you may have. We want to invite you to join us for our next webinar, which will be in early spring, late winter. And we would like to hear from you on topics that you would be interested in. We want to keep these webinars timely and relevant for you. And so as you will also see, there'll be a link posted in the chat for your feedback and an evaluation. Please share with us ideas that you would like to see going forward, or if you yourself find that you have something amazing that you think would benefit other administrators in the state to know about, please also share that and indicate, and it's me, and I'm happy to share that with the field. The information for Karen and Toynbee is listed here if you want to follow up with them further later. And I thank you all very much for the hour that you gave us today. It was great to see the many faces that came on and to see the many familiar names. So thank you all again, and have a great rest of the afternoon. And again, the link for the evaluation will be posted there.
Yeah, sorry about now. I'm having trouble finding the chat. So if it doesn't come up, I will be following up with an email with the link to the evaluation there.
Perfect, perfect. And you all know you can find these also recorded on our website at the calproonline.org website. Stay safe, happy holidays, stay warm, and we look forward to seeing you in 2021. Bye-bye.